Welcome back. Today we are going to learn how to overlap boxes behind another one and how to do very odd shaped boxes with strange angles. So let's get started. Today I think we're going to start with putting just a plain box behind this crazy guy, or maybe we'll do it over this one. Crazy guy. So we're going to put a plain old box behind it. So to do this, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line it up so it's across this guy, and I'm going to put a little bit of space over here and a little bit of line over here so that I have the top of a box started. And I think I'll take it down, and then I'll pick my pencil up and I'll put the bottom down a little bit farther, and I'll do the same over here on the side. And I'll make a bottom for this box that's going to be just a plain old square box, making sure I get this sort of parallel. Running along here, same direction as the horizon line. Clean up my edges a little bit. You can see I've drawn a square behind the object we completed yesterday. Now, I'd like to have you come in and finish it off so you get a nice skinny box here. So I'm going to draw my line back to my vanishing point everywhere I can without drawing over the top of my image. And then I'm going to measure, which will be kind of off because we're close to the horizon line. The closest to the horizon line you have, or the closest to these guys, the harder that'll be. So I'll measure, but I'll have to fudge it some. We'll do a 1/2 inch. That'll make it skinny. A 1/2 inch here, and a 1/2 inch here. And I'll put on the two sides. You can overlap anytime you want to by simply drawing another image behind an object you already have. 4 steps. See, I had to fudge the bottom quite a bit for it to work well. Now I'm going to clean up my ends. Maybe if you remember last time we did this, we had a spot where we took out a section and where we added a section to this. We started off with a nice tall box and added the L and took out this section, and now we've put one behind it. All right, let's try doing an odd shape. Looking for where to do it. You want to stay away from these two areas. All right, I think I'm going to try this area here. So I'm odd shape here. Make sure that none of these angles go back to your vanishing point. You don't want them going like this so they go to your vanishing point. You want them to be different. Yours does not have to be absolutely the same, but you should get something that looks sort of close. It might take you a while. That's okay. Duplicating is always harder than doing it just randomly on your own. Something like that. It's odd, right? There isn't a horizontal or a vertical line on the entire thing, and yet we can make it into a very nice 1-point perspective box just by following our 4 steps. Step 1, draw the front of the image. Step 2, draw your lines back on every corner and, here's the key, every indent. So if you see this, I'm checking this bottom corner right here to see if it can go back. It can't. I'd run over the top of my image. The top of the next point I can go back on. So that's 2 so far. How about the indent on this one? No, I can't. I'd go over the top of this point if I did this indent, so that doesn't work. But it's good to check because you never know. Depending on how you drew it on, you might have a yes answer. Aha, like this one. This dent here, I can go back on. So this indent I can go back on. The other two I haven't been able to so far. That's why you always got to check them just to make sure. And I'm just continuing my way around. I'm getting quite a lot of lines on this. I can go all the way back on this one, but if you didn't have your point jut out very far and this was in the way, then you just go up to it on the way back to your vanishing point and stop. If this went out farther this way, you might just hit it instead. That's okay, you just stop when you hit the front of your image. Like here, I can't go back on this one, I'd go over the top of my image. But I can go back over here, just not very far. I can go back to my vanishing point from this corner a little ways. Here you can see how I did that. Now, let's pick some minuscule amount and make it a very skinny piece. So with an inch, you can pick something small or smaller, or half a centimeter, whatever you think is small for yours. I just happen to pick 1/4 of an inch, which is pretty small. I'm putting a dot on each one of these by measuring from the very corner of my image back to my vanishing point along the line and then marking a dot at the 1/4 inch. And I've done it for all of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines on this one. Now I'm going to finish this pretty cool shape off by, I think I'll start on this guy, this little teensy guy back here. I'll line my ruler up with the angle, and this is why we did this with the dots and pulling our lines as we've been doing in all the other ones. It seemed pretty easy to do it. Now it's going to get harder. I'm going to take my ruler, I line it up, and without changing the angle, I pull it back to that dot, and I make a little line. Oh my goodness, it's very small. And it's going to take my super kneaded eraser to get in here and get rid of the last little tidbit of that line that's left in there by making a little point. All right, now let's do our line over here, this odd angled, not quite a horizontal line, without changing the angle. I don't want to do this with my ruler. I want to keep it the same angle, pull it along till I get to my dot. I want to keep the angle the same. That's why I line it up with what was already there in the front, and I pull it to the back, and I keep the same angle so it'll run parallel to it, but it just gets a little smaller because it's going back into the distance. And I continue around, lining my ruler up with the front line, pulling my ruler back without adjusting the angle or the direction of my ruler. I keep it the same as the line in the front, so it ends up copying it at the same angle. And I'm halfway done here. I got 2 more to go. Line my ruler up with this angle, and without changing the angle, I don't want to do this while I do it or look bad. I want to keep the angle the same, move it along, and transfer my line into the distance so it gets smaller. Note, I'm not expecting these guys to line up with any of the points or any of the other things. I'm just doing them from where, and it helps you find guidance when you can't hook it up into a corner like this. You know it's going to go back to there and go over here, but on a lot of this odd shape, you don't. You just have to you would be guessing without the dots exactly what to do. But the dots help you figure out what angle to have it at. You should have something that looks a bit like this. I'm going to clean it up some now. Going to fan my hand. And off we go for cleaning it up. Thank you very much for watching.